Streaming live, this is News 12 Now.
Thanks for joining me. I'm Alexandria Savage here on News 12 Now. If this is your first time joining us, we stream on Facebook or on YouTube or on Roku, Fire TV, our website, and the app. Thanks for joining us today. We are going to discuss an issue that's affecting many people in our area and nationally, especially marginalized groups like asthmatics and those suffering from diabetes. Here to discuss that with us is Dr. Tiffany Najberg. Hello, Dr. Tiffany. Thank you for joining us on News 12 Now once again.
Hi, Alexandria. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, so let's get down to it. You reached out to me about this story because it's affecting your patients. So tell me a little bit about, this shortage that is affecting people suffering from illnesses that are lifelong in some cases.
Yeah, it's something that it's not a new issue. We've been dealing with drug shortages for a few years, but the level of it has increased a whole lot recently, and it's getting to the point that there are so many medicines out that are on that aren't available that it's significantly hampering care both in hospitals and at home, including for such lifelong conditions such as severe asthma and high blood pressure, heart issues, dysrhythmias, arrhythmias, even such things as dehydration, even such things as IV fluids are in short supply. The list is actually shockingly long right now.
Oh, wow. So are there alternative medicines that can help those suffering from these issues out, or what's being done? What can be done? Is it because people are taking them as supplements? What's happening, do you think?
Well, a lot of it stems from supply chain problems. A lot of the ingredients come from overseas, specifically, Asia. And, one of the consequences of things like when China goes into lockdowns is it significantly hampers our ability to have a lot of the things we depend on, because a lot of the things are produced there, or the raw materials are mined there or produced there. So, and there are some workarounds. For example, albuterol is out, like for asthmatics. So is prednisone too. That's both the inhalers and the solution for nebulizers. It's is running out everywhere, and that's not expected to improve. But there is something called Xopenex, which is very much like albuterol, which can be substituted for it. So for a little while, at least, we can do things like that to adapt to it. We can do dexamethasone instead of prednisone. I know that the words might not mean much, but there are workarounds. It's just the problem is that some of the workarounds in some categories are starting to run out as well.
So what can be done? Do these drug companies need to start manufacturing in other places? What do you suggest?
Yeah, diversification of our supply chain would help a lot, but also having more than one or two companies producing critical drugs. Maybe adding some of them to the national strategic stockpile as well would be something that could be done. And because, plain and simple, I don't think these supply chain shortages and issues are going away anytime soon. We're going to have to adapt to the fact that this might be going on for some time.
Now, I just kind of want to make sure we don't send people into a panic with this information. Is there any, hope in the near future for this? Because you said they're starting to run out of some of these substitution supplements.
There's always hope. There's always a chance that things might not be as bad as they could be. And usually things don't get to be as bad as the worst case scenario. But this is something that it is worse than anything that I have seen in the 19 and a half years I've had since I graduated medical school.
Wow. So
I mean,
this is affecting your patients. How are they kind of reacting? Are some people frustrated? Are they angry? Are they stocking up? What's happening in your practice specifically?
well, the end result, most of my patients are pretty understanding, but we get yelled at a bit, because we don't get always advance warning things are going to be out. And sometimes there's things that we can't do much about. Like right now, most places are out of children's Tylenol and children's Motrin. I did put a video out on my own channels for educational purposes on how to equivalently dose adult medicines. What pounds, how much your child weighs, and what is a safe dose if you had to, because kids are still going to run fevers whether the store has Motrin and Tylenol. So, but there's also a limit to what we can do. Providers need to have an open mind. If they're getting yelled at, they got to realize that the patient is just frustrated. A lot of times they're worried for their kid or worried for their family member, and respond with compassion, respond with helpful suggestions, and don't be afraid to do things like switch the amoxicillin prescription to old-fashioned penicillin, because that still treats strep throat. Don't be afraid to use bupivacaine instead of lidocaine, to numb people up. Practitioners have to kind of roll with the punches on this, and basically be more versatile and adaptable. So they'll help you at least not get as much anger.
Well, Dr. Najberg, is there anything else you want to share with our audience while you have their attention?
There's also a lot of, this isn't just over-the-counter and prescription medicines. This extends to hospitals too. Things like critical medicines like IV pain medicines, Zofran, clot-busting medicines, even such things as, Benadryl IV, calcium, even those are running short. So if there's, be aware that hospitals are going to have much longer waits, and some services possibly might not be available that normally are. Because, for example, clot-busting medicine, there isn't a workaround for that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us, Dr. Najberg, and we look forward to speaking with you in the future.
Thank you for having me.
Alrighty, guys, that's all we have for now, but make sure you stay tuned. Noon is just around the corner. Thanks for watching News 12 Now. Have a great one.